when your Argentinian grandfather dies, but his will is in German. That's a little suspicious. Getting kind of nervous about what type of old uniform I'm gonna find in the attic now. I was thinking the other day, it must be really unfortunate if you do actually have a grandfather from Argentina. But according to this, only as many as 5,000 might have relocated to this country, but there were already several German immigrants living there. So it's possible that you just happen to have a German grandfather in Argentina that has nothing to do with... Yeah. Japanese diplomats saving Poles from the Germans. German diplomats saving the Chinese people from the Japanese. Yeah, it's weird how things switch depending on what continent you were in. Ancient Chinese mathematicians carefully developing a geometric progression theorem to calculate the best way their emperor can sleep with his harem of 121 women in just 15 nights. Funny how often human advancement really just came down to stuff like this. Honestly, this doesn't even sound fun. This sounds stressful. OMG, Argentina has a lot of no-no Germans. Meanwhile, Chile, well, to be fair, those helmets are kind of traditionally World War I German helmets, right? What's the South American country that has a bunch of German helmets from World War II? Oh, that's Chile. Also, I should have known. It's just like so recognizable. Like there's really only one thought when I see these. To be fair, I guess a couple countries use this helmet design, including the Bolivian army. I also like how the no-no German phrase is taking off. Chilies evolves to be spicy to deter mammals from eating them. Meanwhile, humans. I literally contribute to this problem myself. Look right here next to me. I always have hot sauces. They're always on hand. Doing these two posts back to back, I really need to pronounce the country Chile. If I were not Alexander, I would wish to be Diogenes. If I were not Diogenes, I would also wish to be Diogenes. Oh yes, talk about the most Chad, featherless biped. It's almost worthwhile to be sick, to be nursed by you. A phrase he said to his wife. I have offended God and mankind because my work didn't reach the quality that it should have. Finally, last words are for fools who haven't said enough. These were all supposed to be last words said by multiple important thinkers. I wonder what Julius Caesar's final words were. Stop stabbing me? Or was it that? Hilter, alright, I want a giant mirror above the earth. Can we get it done? German scientists trying not to get killed. Yeah, we can do that, right? Yeah, we'll start working on that stat as soon as we find that holy grail. George S. Patton on his way to slap the crap out of another mentally and physically exhausted private in a hospital. This will surely improve their morale. Must have been a fun job. Someone's got to do it. U.S. Civil War era politicians trying to figure out what all men are created equal means. Weird how just confused they were by this phrase. King Tut in heaven watching himself become the most famous pharaoh because people didn't give a crap enough about him to rob his pyramid. And now he's like one of the most famous pharaohs. Like just what, him and Cleopatra? I think that's the only ones I know. Oh, I guess he might not have actually been in a pyramid, interestingly enough. Oh yeah, I completely forgot Ramses. He's a pretty famous pharaoh. Which one of these did Brennan Fraser fight in The Mummy? Olmecs, the Aztecs, the Mayans, and first graders. All using cocoa-based systems of trade. This is where society went wrong. Imagine if our currency was just based off chalky milk. 1950s China trying to grow crops after sending away its farmers and disrupting the ecosystem. Yeah, it seems like they were pretty confused about what they were doing exactly. Is this considered a part of that whole great leap forward? This ancient Chinese emperor, immediately after discovering mercury. I mean, who wouldn't just want to put it in their mouth? I guess we don't know this for sure, but it is alleged that he thought mercury would bring him immortality. North American ruins be like, in this shack, a random Confederate was born 200 years ago. This is the best historical building of Tennessee. Meanwhile, European ruins be like, this amphitheater was built 2,000 years ago for gladiator games. So good that it still is in use nowadays for tennis matches. I mean, yeah, it's all relative. I fall into the trap myself. I visited like a 300-year-old building on the East Coast once, and I was like, wow, this thing is old. And there's just a bunch of Europeans laughing in the comments section. Rome doesn't have a very substantial metro network for a few reasons, and one of them is because every time they dig a line, they find stuff like this, and then it turns into an archaeological excavation. Pretty much just the city of Rome suffering from success. Oh, this must be so horrible. It's like the opposite of Minecraft. In this city, you definitely want to dig down. Just dig straight down, you'll find something. No! I don't want to see your recreated Roman Empire in Rome Total War. Ugh. Pretty much the easiest way to spot a red flag. If she says anything even remotely close to this, boys, you ain't gonna want to be with her. The United States pointing at South Korea and Japan after their post-war economic miracle. I raised that boy, and all it took was to cut one completely down the middle and the other one 2 nukes. The US Army accidentally making 2 more ships than they needed and making them into ice cream parlors for their soldiers. Meanwhile, the Japanese being low on every resource possible. What a way to demoralize your enemy. This was referred to as the ice cream barrage vessel. I love this. It was intended to just raise morale of US troops by producing ice creams at a fast rate. Oh, it looks like I just shot multiple people. Give me some ice cream so I don't have PTSD. Pope Urban, the second Pope Rule, the first, walks in. Why am I imagining him dressed like a pope, but it all has like camo style on? Yeah, pretty much like this. This Ottoman Sultan ran one of the first child protection services in the world. He paid for the education of young Christian orphans and gave them steady jobs when they became adults. He even paid for fun school trips to Vienna in 1683. He was effectively called those little rascals janissaries. Little rascals janissaries? Wait a second. Oh, this dude actually made a slave army out of children. Had to take him to Vienna somehow. The United States giving advice on how to fight a world war. First of all, never show up on time. That is kind of weird how we did that. We was there like 3 years late for World War I, and then like 2 years late for World War II. But then again, that's debatable. Some people think World War II started before 1939. I'm now just realizing that World War I has a pretty firm begin date, whereas World War II could be argued it's a little gray. World War II, Italian artillery be like, wait, I feel like I've seen this video before. You just throw fireworks on a bicycle, and you're good to go. I would love to try this one day. Oh, wow. Can't argue with that. 17th century Venezuelans writing a letter to the Vatican asking if all those cute little animal dog things are fish so they can eat them during Lent. Yeah, that letter must have been complete fire, because obviously the logic doesn't make any sense, but it was just so persuasive. I guess beavers are also considered fish. Does it go in the water? If yes, then definitely fish. Holy Roman Empire when blasphemous Germanic kingdom walks in. I see what you did there. I think it's creative enough. Something voluntary. Humans going from the first airplane to the first human on the moon to landing things on other planets. It's especially crazy to think that it took us like hundreds of thousands of years just to stop hunting and gathering. European royalty before the invention of the camera versus European royalty after the invention of the camera. I think about this all the time. Like, we only have paintings of some of these European royal people, and I'm willing to bet they were probably painted in a pretty nice light. You don't want to make the person that could chop your head off at any moment look bad. Then the cameras came around and, I guess they were just very revealing. I forget the man's name, but I once read an account of a 17th century Neapolitan noble who had fought more than 200 duels, and over the matter of who was the greatest Italian poet, Dante or Ariosto. Seeking salvation on his deathbed, the duelist admitted he had never read the poetry of either man. Talk about absolutely based. He was just pretty much waking up every morning and choosing violence. I don't think he cared about anything else. Europe after WW1, destroyed and mourning. Meanwhile, there's Poland after WW1. The boys are back in town, the boys. Guess who's back? Back again. This makes what's gonna happen to him 20 years from now all the more tragic, though. Who would win? Some cute battleship girls or a couple of Japanese WW2 pilots? Oh, that's a tough one, because you know these guys are gonna go absolutely kamikaze when they see them. Can never bet against my waifus, though. Archduke Franz Ferdinand gets shot. The whole of Europe. It's time to cause a little bit of chaos. I feel like they were pretty much just itching to go to war anyways. I don't think the exact event mattered. Cereal is probably the worst.
You can possibly start your morning.
Oh, that is a worse way to start your morning, I will say that, being Japan in 1945. But this is definitely second worst. Cereal is not good. And it took me like 25 years to realize that. You were an impressive dictator who ruined Iran's democracy and was very corrupt. But some women used to wear skirts during your time, and Reddit worships you for that. Ah, like classic Redditors. Tips, Fedora? You were a horrible dictator from the 60s and did horrible things to your country's citizens and other countries' citizens. Nobody remembers you because they only remember Hitler and Stalin. This is the man from Portugal, right? The dictator from Portugal. To be honest, I don't know much about this guy. Mussolini reading, well, Hitler's no-no book. Illegible and boring. Is this really what he thought? I don't know much. Did he even read the book? Look at him. He switched sides during WW2. What an untrustworthy, yeah, please stop, says Italy. Instead of fighting for a fascist regime that was committing horrible war crimes, you chose to side with the Allies. In order to reconquer your country who was under the occupation of a ruthless fascist, it's not good to mock them for switching sides. Now that is a Chad response that we've yet to hear before. I feel like all it takes is one really good meme to completely switch public meme opinion. I think the Italy switch side memes were already on the way out. The world, what you got there? A tractor, responds the Germans. Yeah, just a tractor. Don't even worry about that. I just hope people in the future are like, what the hell are these things? Imagine that's why they built Stonehenge. Imagine that's why they built everything, like the pyramids. It was just our old ancestors trolling everyone. I'd say just a moderate amount of trolling there. You know what? I'm just gonna say it. There are more countries than just Canada and Germany who teach the bad things they did in the past. Ooh. Whoa, 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 talking crazy over here. Going against the narrative. South Americans, when their history is excluded from every textbook after the Incas lost. It's so sad. You know, you guys need to probably, like, get into more wars or something. That's the problem, it's too peaceful. Although you did have that three-way where you destroyed 90% of the male population in Paraguay. England could have been named, S-land. What? England comes from the word Angland, which was named after the Anglos because they were Anglo-Saxons. But if they named their country Saxland after the Saxons instead, it's possible that over time their name would become Jesse. What the hell are you even talking about? I've actually been hearing this meme a lot recently. Well, I guess in a way, there is at least still all of this in real life. And big thanks to Drew's sexy girlfriend,
Young waifu,
I stole Drew's pet dog, Argentinian grandpa,
AryanAfterHours,
aPhatNarwhal,
Alex
Whitley is Mega Chad,
Barnsky W,
Canadian Union, Gaming Candy Cane 789, Majestic Unicorn,
Max Cooper,
Mimoshiki,
Nora the Bold,
Ortin
5 Smiling Lovers,
Philipp RF,
Robert
RyeThePie,
E,
the Mexican 760.
And why am I doing this?